So this is the overview. So basically, we start with the basics and fundamentals of the TBLT, task-based learning and teaching, the challenges and potential helpful solutions for the TBLT. And then concerning AI, we'll be working with Copilot for TBLT. And then we'll have mini demo lessons training for AI. And then while we are working on these mini demo lessons, we'll tackle any challenges, and I will suggest any potential helpful solutions. So when it comes to TBLT, the basics and fundamentals of TBLT is that each task is divided into 3 stages. The first stage is the pre-task stage. So basically in this stage, what we are doing, we are introducing the topic and task. So basically at this stage, students should be aware of what they are supposed to do during the task and what kind of product they are trying to get by the end of the task. And then in the middle, we have the most important part, which is the task cycle. So here is we have the task, we have the planning, and we have the report in it. And then we have the final stage, which is the language focus. It's the analysis and practice. And some people call it the post-task phase. Next. So, as I have explained, we have these 3 stages, the pre-task, the task cycle, and the language focus or the post-task. So, when it comes to the TBLT, we have different challenges. And the first challenge is the group work. A lot of teachers are not really comfortable working with students in groups, and other students as well that we have in class are not very comfortable working together. Second is the planning and preparation. So I have a curriculum, I have a lesson to deliver. How can I plan and how can I prepare for my lesson? And then number 3, we have the scaffolding and the student support. And then how can I maintain the motivation of my students? How can I keep students motivated throughout the task, throughout the different stages? And then how am I going to assess the students? And the last challenge that we have in here is the staffing. So are the people that I have working for me or working with me ready and have all the tools that they need in order to deliver a successful task? So in here, when we'll be working on our demo lesson, and when we are going to use Copilot, we'll see how we can tackle these challenges one by one, and how easy it is actually to tackle these challenges. So when it comes to BLT and these challenges, we have a number of potential helpful solutions, and we'll look at the challenges one by one, and I will suggest a number of solutions that might be helpful. The first one, group work. So first solution, allocating fixed or rotating group roles to individuals, possibly based on members' behavioral strength or skill sets, meaning that if I have 20 students in my class, I divide them into 5 groups of 4, and each time we have a leader in that group. And each member in that group is responsible for a certain part of the task. And then I rotate. So students get used to different roles and get used to working together based on their skill sets. Then providing formal training in group work for students prior to and or during the project. So some students are not familiar with working on tasks. They are used to working on activities, right? They are used to working on textbooks or with textbooks. So I always try to create mini tasks. In these mini tasks, I get my students familiar with what they are expected to do and how they can complete these tasks. And then providing time and support for the groups to gel and feel comfortable together. So always trying to get my students to work together in different groups. Students get to know each other. Students get to talk to each other. So this will ease the task and the group work. And then clear guidelines and rules on the expectations regarding individual contributions to group work and how this will be assessed. For example, student X and student Y, you are supposed to work on this part, student Y, you are supposed to work on this part, and this is how I'm going to assess you. Now I move to challenge number 2, the planning and preparation, using real-world problems as a driving question for the project, and I will show you later how we can use AI for this. And then creating activities which can be scaled up into mini tasks and tasks. Again, we will be using AI later to show you how we can come up with this. Next challenge, challenge number 3, the scaffolding and student support. So first solution, providing a thorough briefing for students about the aims, methods, and content of the project. And then use of past student experience to help brief new students. For example, this is what I have used with my other classes. These are the products that we got. So students have clear expectations on what they are supposed to achieve by the end of each task. Creating multiple sample projects or written project guidelines. Again, we'll be using AI later to work on this. And then appropriate levels of scaffolding, often providing greater lecturers input in the early stages and reducing as the project continues. And finally, creating appropriate materials and resources. And again, we'll be using AI to generate this later. Challenge number 4, maintaining motivation. How can I keep my student motivated through the task? Choice of task which interests students and have real-world significance, the topics in here. And again, I will show you later how we can use AI and how we should be very specific about the type of tasks that we need and about the real-world significance of the task that we chose or we ask AI to choose for us. Create a competitive environment between teams. Again, we can get plenty of ideas by using AI. And then finally, showcasing our performances to external or professional audiences. For example, sharing the students' work with other classes, sharing it with the department, having a kind of a showcase at the end of each semester, creating portfolios that would have everything that students worked on throughout the semester might help us keep the students motivated because it gives them a purpose and a clear purpose, especially those who are not very, very strong using the language. So it's a way of making them proud of the product that they are working on. Finally, the assessment. Assessment should be appropriate to the task and the learning outcomes targeted. With AI, this is very easy. I will show you later while we are working on our demo lesson. Inclusion of several types of assessment, formative and summative, peer and staff, group and individual. Again, AI made this really easy. Training for staff in alternative forms of assessment. And basically, this is what we are doing right now. It's a kind of training. It's a workshop. It's a demo lesson where our staff get familiar with the different resources that we have out there. And then finally, the inclusion of time and space for students to reflect on their learning throughout the project. Finally, the staffing, the choice of staff who understand and have experience in TBLT, AI, or transdisciplinary work, sorry. So in here, again, by having demo lessons, by providing training to our staff, training for staff in PBLT approaches and AI, a time for staff to trial, evaluate and reflect on PBLT supported by pedagogical experts, staff chosen on the basis of their experience and skills in group work. I remember when I was working in Qatar University in the past, I was one of the team who helped others get familiar with task-based. Provision of staff training in group work and facilitation between group mentoring and review. Now we are moving to the AI part. So the beauty of this co-pilot that I have chosen is that we as teachers all have access to it. So basically, if you work for any institution that gives you access to Microsoft, so if you are working in any institution that gives you access to Microsoft Office, Microsoft 365, you have access to Copilot, and it's free and it's unlimited access, and I'll show you later. So, and we have to choose the style, more creative, more balanced, and more precise. We'll see it later. Now we'll move to choosing the stage. So for example, if I'm generating materials using AI, which stage am I working on? Am I working on the pre-task stage? Am I working on the task stage? Or am I working on the post-task stage? Because in here, we have to be very specific while we request information from AI. Typing and pasting a prompt in AI, be specific. Be specific and be specific. And I'll show you later how being specific makes a huge difference in terms of the results that we get. Later on, we have to choose a context. For example, if I'm looking for a text, an essay, a sample, I have to give it a context. Am I talking about the Middle East? Am I talking about the MENA region? Am I talking about Europe? Am I talking about Africa? Am I talking about South America, etc.? Choose a tone and a style. What kind of tone do I need for my text or for my samples or for my materials? What kind of style of materials do we need? What is the genre? What is the subject matter? Specify the purpose. Am I requesting a text to inform, to persuade, a text to describe? What is the purpose? And then create your activities and then choose your level. And when it comes to Copilot, it adheres to the Cepher level, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. Okay, so this is our first practice. And for our first practice, what we are working on a reading task. So in here, I have started with the first instruction that I have in here. Give me a pre-task activity on global warming for A1 ESL students. Okay, let me go back. So in here, what do we have? We have this instruction. Okay, so if I go in here, as I showed you earlier, this is the page. We logged in. You have everything. You have your name right here, right? Because you are signed up through your institution's email. And then this is the style. Depending on the level of the student and depending on the purpose of this activity, do I want to be more creative? Do I want to be more balanced? Or do I want to be more precise? In here, as you can see it, I have chosen more balanced, and this is what I recommend. So ask me anything. I put this. Give me a pre-task activity on global warming for A1 ESL students. And I hit enter. So here, the okay, yes. Okay, so as we can see in here, we have different types of activity that was suggested by AI: vocabulary matching exercise, conversation cards, modeling activity, writing task. So they gave me 4 possible scenarios or possible activities that I can use. Was I specific? No. That's why here my results are very, very generic, right? So if I want to be specific, I would say, give me examples of number 2, conversation cards on climate change. And I hit enter. Okay, I have an example right in front of me that could be used easily for what? For a pre-task activity, for a warming up activity, right? So in here, so I have this, I can use it. What can I do? I click on this arrow and it's exported. It's exported as a Word, okay? I go back in here, sorry. So I go to Microsoft Word, and then what can I do? I just have it, okay? Now, I go back to my Copilot, and then what shall I do? I will move on to my second question or my second request that I have in here. I took a picture of it, so I don't need to go back and forth. So now I said it's a reading activity. So I write, give me or not, write a 300 word, okay, not essay, text on global warming and its effects for A1 ESL students. Again, in here, as you can see, so I'm being very specific. I asked for the genre, I asked for the purpose, and I asked for the context and for the level of my students, right? So I hit enter, and then it will generate a text for me. Now, it's generating the text. And then I decide what kind of reading task do I need? Do I need a reading comprehension? Maybe. Okay, so in here we have a 300-word text. So what am I going to need for the text? I need some comprehension questions that would go with it, right? So, and here, what can we see? We can see the source of the text. So if I click in here, it will take me to the source. So me, as a teacher, I can easily find the source or learn more about the topic. So I would say, give me, let's say, 6 comprehensive questions for the text above. Okay, so in here, what do I have? I have comprehensive questions and I have possible answers. So in here, I have my questions and I have my answer key as well. I don't want to work with comprehensive questions. Create 6 multiple choice questions for the text. Okay, so again, what do I have? I have my questions, I have my multiple choices, and I have the correct answer. What do I have in here? I have my pre-task done. I have my task. I have the materials that I need. I have the questions that the questions that go with the task. And then what is left? What do we have? We have a post-task phase. So the post-task phase could be anything, depending on the performance of your students. For example, if I know that my students are struggling with vocabulary, are struggling with grammar, right? So I can work with that or on that. So in that case, what shall I say? Come up or highlight some vocabulary related to global warming in the text. Okay, so as a to check their understanding of the material, I can come up with this activity as a post-task activity, right? Or I want to focus on grammar, and I would say highlight or underline all the verbs in the text. So in here, as you can see, they highlighted or they put the verbs between brackets. So change the text to the past tense. If I ask my students to change all the verbs that we have in here to the past tense. Okay? You see? Okay? And I have now, what do I have? I have a complete lesson. I have a complete lesson that has the three different stages. The first stage is the pre-task, and then we have the task itself, and then we have the post-task. Is this clear? Perfect. Okay, so now what am I going to move to? I'm going to move to another demo lesson. But now in this demo lesson, what we'll be working on, we'll be working on writing. Okay, so I'm gonna take a picture of this. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to my Copilot, and then I'm going to start a new search. And then I will ask, write a prompt for an argumentative essay for or on why technology should be incorporated into the language or into the classroom. Okay, I hit enter. When I hit enter, I'll have a prompt. Okay, so in here, it gives you an idea. Again, feel free to use or modify this prompt for your argumentative essay. It's up to you. So you have a prompt, it's too long. Okay, so I can modify it the way I see fit. Now, next, I need some samples to work on. Give me 3 samples for argumentative essays, okay, for the prompt. Okay, so in here, you see, what do I have? I have, give me 3 samples for argumentative essay for the prompt. I was not clear in here. That's why my reply or the reply that I got is not very satisfying. That's why I have to be very specific. So I would say, write a 300-word essay on the importance of incorporating technology into classrooms for ESL students level A1. So as you can see in here, it's the exact same idea, but the way I worded it made it different. Now I have an essay. Okay, so give me, I have an essay, I have a prompt. What do I need? I need a rubric. Give me a rubric for the essay above, or for the prompt above. I have my rubric. It's ready to go. Okay, so again, this rubric can be easily edited in Excel. I'm going to click on it. My rubric is on Excel. Or what can I do? Again, I can go to my rubric here and then the results and export it as Word. And it's in there. Okay, so I can modify it, I can change it, I can do whatever I want with it. Okay, so now give me an activity for students to work on the essay above. Again, here I'm not being very specific, so I expect the answers to be more general. But sometimes it's a good way for me to come up with ideas for planning my lesson. And it gives me plenty of ideas. Okay, so like give me an example for number 3. And here they are. Okay, so later on, what can I say? I can say highlight or divide the conclusion into different parts. Okay, and this is a way of checking the understanding of the students, right? Again, divide the body, sorry, the body paragraphs into different parts. So this is an activity that could work as a post-task activity, and I can use this activity with the samples that I have generated using AI. Divide the introduction into different parts. And that's it. What are the different steps for writing an argumentative essay? And again, in here, this is another idea for any essay genre, any essay type. Okay, this could be your lesson before the task itself. What are give me a vocabulary building activity for argumentation or for argumentative essays. Matching activity, for example. Give me an example for number 3. Okay, and again, it gives you all the sources from where this information was taken. Okay, so now the last part of my presentation, what am I going to do? I'm going to work on grammar. For example, in here, I have worked on an essay, and I said, write, give me a dialogue, okay, a dialogue between two people on the importance of using technology in teaching. Okay, and then I go and I say, give me a visual that would go with this dialogue. And finally, change the dialogue into a reported speech. And I'll have the exact same dialogue that I have in there, you see? If I'm teaching students how to use reported speech. Give me the rules for reported speech in English for ESL students. And it gives me all the rules that I can use again as my materials before the task itself. Okay, and again, it gives me all the sources. Right? So now give me a reported speech practice activity as a post-task base. And that's it. And I am done. I have the 3 stages that I need while delivering a grammar lesson on reported speech. Okay? So I'm going to share my screen again, go back to my presentation in here. Okay, so in here, what did we do? We did this demo lesson and the other one, and we added a new lesson. And these are the references for the information that I have used in this presentation. So, do you have any questions? I think you can use the, if you have a question, you can type it on the laptop provided in there, if you'd like. Of course. Okay, so basically this is the source framework for task-based learning. Okay, so this gives us all the basics and everything that we need to know about the task-based. Do you see it? I'm gonna share it here in the chat as well. Here you go. And for the other one is copilot.microsoft. Okay, copilot.microsoft.com. Thank you for being here. Do you have any other questions regarding the content, regarding, we have 5 minutes. Please feel free. Okay. Mhm. I think if you unmute yourself, you can ask me the question then. Okay, so in here, so if I understood you well, I understood you well. So I have a master student writing a thesis paper, right, on Gulliver's Travel, and it's teaching in an ESL classroom. So basically, you want to teach Gulliver Travels for ESL classrooms, right? Okay, so in this case, so Gulliver Travels, I have always to start with my pre-task. In this pre-task, it could be a brainstorming activities, asking students what do they know about Gulliver Travels. Ask them to find information online. Okay, and then I look for materials. So let me share the screen again with you very, very quickly. Okay, and I will go to my AI. Like, give me a short story on Gulliver's Travel for ESL students level A2. Okay, so in here, I have this. So give me another story. You see, so here I was not very specific, so it's not giving me the story. Give me another story on Gulliver's Travel. Okay, so in here I can generate as many samples as I can, right? And I divide my class into different groups, and each group will be working on a sample. And then while creating this sample, so I'll be creating a sample one by one. And then for each sample, I come up with questions. I come up with other activities. I come up with a grammar activity. I come up with a vocabulary activity. And each group will be working on a mini project. And then at the end, each group will present based on whatever they have read. And in here, we'll have different perspectives. Did this answer your question? Okay, so in here, think about AI as if you are talking to a kid. So a kid, do not touch this because it will hurt you, right? I want this because I need to use this in this with this for this time. So be very specific. Give it a context, give it a purpose, give it everything that you need, and everything will be clear for you. And do not be afraid using it. Copilot is very user-friendly.